Mic's on. Mr. Antoinette? Yes. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Genoa Township Board of Trustees meeting. This is a regular trustee meeting. Today's date is May 2nd, 2024, and the time is 6:30 p.m. Pat, will you call the roll?
Mr. Antoinette.
Here.
Ms. Goodman.
Here.
Ms. Vaughn.
Here. Also present, we have our fiscal officer, Pat Meyer, our Deputy Director of Roads, Buildings and Grounds and Parks, Lauren Fitzpatrick, Police Lieutenant James Denman, Police Chief James McMillan, Fire Chief Joe Ponzi, Director of Zoning and Development Joe Schaefer, and Township Administrator Paul Wise. This time I'd like to ask Mark Harmon to stand. I'm sorry, I'm like, who did I ask? Mark Harmon to lead us in the pledge. Thanks, Mark. Right, I'm going to turn it over to Chief McMillan.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Board. Tonight, I'm going to respectfully request a resolution to promote Lieutenant James Denman to the position of Deputy Chief with an annual salary of $130,164.21 and 6 weeks vacation. All other leaves and supplements would be consistent with our township policy and manual. So Jim's been with the agency since March of 2007 when he started as a part-time patrol officer. Jim went full-time about a year later, and during his time as an officer, he worked as an undercover narcotics detective for several years with the Federal HIDTA Task Force, field training officer, and several other specialty assignments. Jim's been a sergeant and is currently our operations lieutenant. Jim has college degrees from Columbus State and Tiffin University. From Tiffin, he graduated with a Bachelor's of Criminal Justice and Justice Administration, and on that, with that graduation, he received the academic honors of summa cum laude. Jim also has a master's degree in Homeland Security, and he graduated with a 4.0 distinction in that program. Among others tonight with Jim, his wife Erica and son Ty are here to celebrate with him.
Okay. I'll move to approve the promotion of Lieutenant James Denman to the position of Deputy Chief of Police effective May 6, 2024 at the annual salary of $130,164.21 with 6 weeks vacation accrued annually. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette.
Yes.
Ms. Goodman.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes, motion carries.
You gonna swear in one by one?
Going to be DC? Head up front. They're going to do it up front.
Or at least
Up underneath the Genoa Township sign. And if anybody is here with Jim who wants to take pictures, feel free to get up and move up to the front. That's why we move it up.
This works. What do you guys think? This side, does it matter? You know, if I say cheese. All right. You ready? Yes. I state your name.
I, James Denman,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of Deputy Police Chief,
of Deputy Police Chief
in Genoa Township,
in Genoa Township,
Delaware County,
Delaware County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during the continuance of my employment.
and during the continuance of my employment.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you, sir.
DC, do you have somebody here tonight to pin the badge on?
Yes, Erica, my wife. Actually, might be better.
Congratulations.
Congratulations again, Jim. Thanks for everything.
Do you have anybody you want to introduce tonight, or are you good? You may want to introduce tonight?
Oh, I do, I want to thank my family.
Hey, hey, microphone.
Microphone. You can turn it around if you want, hold it.
I do want to thank my family and friends for coming out. It's been fantastic, fantastic experience. I appreciate you guys coming out. My mother-in-law, the other officers I work with, Chris and Kylie, my good friends, and of course, my wife and my son, Ty, who's being really good over there. So thank you guys for all coming.
Okay. Next, I'll turn it over to Chief Ponzi.
Good evening, Board. This evening, I would respectfully request a resolution to hire Joshua Fletcher as a full-time firefighter paramedic with an effective date of May 19th, 2024. Josh comes to us from the Eastern Knox Joint Fire District, where he has been employed since 2021 as a firefighter paramedic. Josh will qualify as a lateral hire with the fire department and will enter into Step C of the collective bargaining agreement at an hourly rate of $31.62 per hour. Josh is also an honorably discharged veteran of the United States Army, and those of you that know me know that I didn't hold that against him with the Army background, but that's okay. That makes two of them in our department now. I had a conversation with the other gentleman that they are not taking over the fire department. Josh has met all the hiring requirements of the fire department, and I respectfully request a resolution to hire Joshua Fletcher.
Okay, I'll move to hire Joshua Fletcher as a full-time firefighter paramedic effective May 19th, 2024 at the C-step rate of $31.62 per hour per the collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Josh?
Hey, Joe.
Might as well
Just hire him. You want to do the other resolution then swear?
Do you want to do them both at the same time? and then
That's
just-
fine, that way we just move on.
They only have to move
Yep.
once, yeah.
Yep.
Is that all right?
Okay. Secondly, I would also respectfully request a resolution to hire Tyler Boyd as a full-time firefighter paramedic with the fire department with an effective date of May 20th, 2024. Tyler comes to us from the Greenfield Township Fire Department in Fairfield County, where he has been employed full-time since 2023. Mr. Boyd's effective starting rate of pay will be step level A of the collective bargaining agreement, which is $27.64 an hour. Tyler has met all of the hiring requirements of the fire department, and I respectfully request a resolution to hire Mr. Boyd.
To hire Tyler Boyd as a firefighter, as a full-time firefighter paramedic effective May 20th, 2024 at the A-step rate of $27.64 per hour per the collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Motion carries.
Thank you.
I don't need their names. You ready, young man?
I am.
All right, so just repeat after me, okay? I state your name.
I, Joshua Fletcher,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of firefighter paramedic
the duties of firefighter paramedic
in Genoa Township,
and Genoa Township,
Delaware County,
Delaware County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during my continuance of employment.
during my continuance of employment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Same thing.
Okay.
Never say your name.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
I state your name.
I, Tyler Boyd,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution, the laws, and the state of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge my duties
of firefighter, paramedic
of firefighter paramedic
in Genoa Township,
in Genoa Township,
Delaware County,
Delaware County,
State of Ohio,
state of Ohio,
during the continuancy
during the continuancy
of my employment.
of my employment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so Josh, you want to step over to me?
So first off, thank all of you for allowing me to be part of the team. I'd like to introduce my wife of 13 years, Sarah. She's sitting over there. She's holding my son, Luke. And right next to them is my daughter, Avery, and my daughter, Emma. So thank you for being here and supporting me.
First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for coming out, Chief Ponzi, the fire department. First and foremost, it takes a village to raise a family. I'm for that. And I just want to give a big shout out to my grandparents, my mom and dad, my girlfriend Bailey, her son Griffin, and all my boys from the firehouse. Thanks, fellas.
Unless you want to set for the next couple of hours and go through one.
Yep. It's all good.
I liked it. You went out there and went like this. You went. They all look at it.
Chiefs.
So fire has cake and ice cream, we got pizza, so that's why they're not gonna mess around. You offer them
There you
pizza,
go.
they're not here.
There you go. All right, Pat, whenever you're ready,
Okay.
ready for the fiscal officer report.
All right. Thank you. First off, I just asked for approval of the trustee meeting minutes of February 21st as presented.
I'll move to approve the February 2021, February 21st, 2024 special trustee zoning meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Antoinette? Yes. Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Next, for your review after the meeting, and you can sign them at that time. Bank reconciliation for March 31st, 24. Total balance is $27,308,515.57. The way that breaks out for us, our pooled investments of $19,297,532.52, and a primary account of $8,010,983.05. Everything's cleared and reconciled for the end of March. And unless you have anything for me, that's all I have from fiscal tonight.
Okay, thanks, Pat. At this time, we'll open it up to public comment. If you wish to speak this evening, we ask that you state your name and address for the record. It's first come, first serve.
Rick Wheeland, 9500 Britton Woods Drive. I've got a couple issues I need to go over with the trustees tonight. And I gave you guys a copy of an email that I had received from Rob Riley at Delaware County because I've been going back and forth with Mr. Paul Weiss here on some issues on a piece of property at the end of Britton Woods Drive. And from the information that I have and from the information in there from Mr. Riley, that piece of property is supposed to be maintained by the township. Mr. Weiss keeps telling me that it's not supposed to be done by the township, and I need to contact the property owner for this issue. I disagree with that, according to what I have in conversations with Mr. Riley. So I need the trustees to review this, and I need to get something resolved on it, because it's been going back and forth and stuff here. And if it is the township's property, which I assume it is, according to everything, then we need to get something fixed on it, because the owners of that property end up putting a road up in, a driveway at the end of that road, and they cut it in, put a bunch of gravel and stuff in there to get back to build a new house. I believe there's an application pending with the zoning department right now for the house that has not been approved yet. But when they put the driveway and the gravel and stuff in there, they cut the road out too deep to where when it rains, it floods and it holds water. And it doesn't drain out of that area at all. So the township's gonna have to address some of the drainage issues and stuff up in there. Plus, they went ahead and put some 6x6 posts with a chain across it right at the end of Britton Woods Drive, which makes it hard for other vehicles. We don't have a turnaround at the end of the road there now anyways. So, and that's not their property, I don't believe. I don't know if the trustees or the township authorizes it. I know Delaware County didn't authorize this property owner to put this 6x6 post and a chain across there. So if the property is in fact owned by Delaware County and it is in fact maintained by the township, then I suggest that we get those 6x6 posts and a chain off of that property. And the homeowner can move it down to the end of their stuff and put it on their own property. And Laura's been back there a couple times too. We're having trouble with vehicles turning around and stuff at that area. They back off the side of the road. She went up and fixed one spot. People turned around and backed right into the same spot that they put some dirt and stuff in again. So it's an ongoing issue. We tried to get the township and the county together to get together and get a turnaround at the end of that road or whatever, as far as some type of turnaround, because the garbage trucks have to back down the road. School bus picks the kids up down at the corner now and stuff, because the school bus can't go down and turn around down there and stuff, which is fine for those parents and stuff, I'm assuming. But I hate to keep saying that we have to fix the ditches and that type of stuff, and then people keep going back there with bigger trucks. There's still some construction going on in the neighborhood, so a lot of the bigger vehicles go down that road, and they have to turn around, and they have to jockey back and forth to make any kind of a turn because there's nothing there available for. There's a fire hydrant back there that they have to miss and everything else. So it's an ongoing issue at the end of the road there, which would be nice to get it cleaned up, because every time they get stuck in the mud, then they track the mud down the road. If you have any questions on that stuff, I think it's pretty cut and dry from what Mr. Riley told me in there. And I don't understand why Paul, if he wants to comment it while I'm up here, I'm happy to listen to what he has to say about it. But if you want me to catch you later on, I will on that. And then there's one other thing while I was talking about Paul's stuff. I had another issue at the end of our road with the guys doing some work in our neighborhood. As far as my wife walking on the street and having some words with one of your drivers when they're going too fast through the neighborhood in the dump trucks. We don't have any sidewalks up in that area. It's just open ditches and stuff, so the only place to walk is on the road, unless you walk off the side of the road in the dirt, in the grass areas. So most people walk their dogs and stuff on the road, and most of them always obey the traffic and walk facing traffic and that type of stuff. And when you have a dump truck coming down the road, just because of the size of the vehicle and that type of stuff, it probably seems bigger than most other stuff. And my wife probably thought the guy was, going too fast, that type of stuff, when he passed her. And then your driver had to stop and have confronted my wife, so they have words back and forth with each other. And I don't think that's proper for any township employees to have to stop and confront a resident about stuff. If they just say, hey, yeah, I'll slow down or I'll watch my speed, thank you, ma'am, and move on. Not have a confrontation with somebody. I was out there today, another truck driver comes up the road. He's doing 12 miles an hour. He's got his window down, he's looking around, very attentive, you know? That's the kind of stuff we'd like to see. I didn't really appreciate the response that I got back from Paul when I sent this information stuff into him and stuff, because then he comes up and says something about quoting that we're the troublemakers in the neighborhood by calling and talking about this stuff. So I don't know where, that's in the email. So I can, you know, everybody's seen it, it was to everybody. I don't know where Paul's getting the we're the troublemakers in the neighborhood, or who's spreading that type of information. I'd like to find out where it comes from. I don't think it's warranted. We moved into this neighborhood to have a nice neighborhood. And I'm sorry, I almost like to have a perfect neighborhood. I know we have a lot of problems with our road and stuff. I've met Mark up there many times and gone over stuff. We're not up there to make trouble on it. We're up there to enjoy what we have and keep it nice. And everybody else needs to try to do the same for us while they're in our neighborhood, I'm assuming. My wife did call Lauren about it or whatever, and I think she was expecting a call back, but never did get a call back from Lauren on it. So I don't know what your procedure is. You know, if there's a form you have to get online and fill out for a grievance or a complaint against a township employee doing something. But normally, if you can call somebody and talk to them about it, it gets resolved a little bit quicker than filling out a form all the time. If you have any questions on that type of stuff, I'll be glad to answer anything anytime for you on that. The other thing I wanted to bring up a little bit of stuff was on some zoning issues as far as inspections on pool fences, and why we cannot have a zoning inspector or an employee go up to the property and check and make sure these pool fences are being installed to code. I think that everybody has to get a fence permit when they install a pool here in the township, and it has to be put into certain standards. A lot of those standards are a 4-foot tall fence. You can't pass a 4-inch object through the spindles of it. You have to have a gate on it that opens out, that has a locking mechanism at a certain measurement even from the top of it and stuff. So there's things that need to be checked on this stuff instead of just a drive-by, which I think has been going on by the zoning department employees at this point. Somebody needs to get out and check it, make sure it's up to code. We have a lot of different fence installers and stuff, and some of the fences in our neighborhood, the people have put rocks and stuff underneath the fence area because the grade was too low where the guys installed the fence. And they've been getting possums or whatever stuff crawling underneath their fence and getting into their yard and around their pool. And stuff like that needs to get caught by the zoning guys. And then they can get the fence guys back to fix it instead of leaving it with a bunch of rocks underneath of it to try and, it's not a very sightly object. So if we're going to issue permits and stuff for that type of stuff, I think the trustees need to have something in place with the zoning guys that we do some type of inspections on it. And I don't know if that, you know, I don't know how it ties into the building codes and that type of stuff, but, and how it even falls into new houses and stuff. But normally, they have to have inspections for their pool. They have to get the final gas, final electric, and a final from the Delaware County after their permit and stuff. And then as far as our certificate, you know, as far as an insurance company, which is none of our business or whatever, but they really shouldn't be using that pool until they have a fence around it. So if we're going to issue a certificate on it, then we need to make sure that they've got the right stuff in place for us to do so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else for public comment?
Hi, my name is Jason Baker. I live at 2395 Sweet Clover Lane. We were just coming here to actually talk about our pool. So we came to you guys. We had an inspection on it. It's our first time going through a pool, and we did get it approved through you, and it had a cover as well as a fence. And as we're going through it, as being our first time and taking 3 years to get to it, we had the question that if we had the cover, and I think you guys voted on this in 2020, And I'm more looking at questions, because I think you did some extensive research on your side, and we've done on ours, that could we reevaluate this from having a fence or a cover, instead of having to have a fence, having a fence around it. And where we live, in the area that we live in, we have it perimetered in the area that we live in Sage Creek, that the cover, in all of the research that we've done, our insurance company approved us for, without having the fence. So they said it would work, and we didn't think that. So when we went through the permitting, we thought we would ask the question, would we be able to look at this and reevaluate, as some of the other townships have done, and see if we could have either or. And as we sit here and look at it, we want to keep everybody safe. And at no point do we want to look at it from a, hey, we're cutting a corner here. My wife and I and some other individuals, including our insurance company, see it as redundant. And so I didn't know if it was an opportunity that we could take a look at that again and revisit it, because I know you have done extensive research on it, and at no point do I want to discount that either. But maybe, because it's our first time going through it, is it something that you guys would potentially look at and see if we could look at either or from that standpoint? I don't know, it's more of a questioning, so I'm doing more fact-finding than anything, if we can. So is there any, did I address this right? I probably went about the wrong way, so, yeah.
We can always send it to the zoning commission to evaluate. Do I understand right, so you don't have a fence now?
We haven't finished it. I don't have a fence now. We haven't,
Pool up and running?
it is,
It is.
it is.
And so you cover it every night when you're done?
Every night, yeah, it's covered right now. It's an automatic cover, yeah, and it can take up, locked, so, and this has been an ongoing project that has taken it, we had to rip it out. Unfortunately, the cover, the liner that we put into it last fall had to be replaced. So we really haven't, I mean, we technically finished it in November of last year. So we're looking to, either way we would go moving forward, whatever they suggest, and put it in. But we thought we'd ask the question before we moved on too far with the pool itself. So, so I don't know if that is something you're willing to look at, or if that is something that would even be addressed before we make the
I mean, the
investment.
option is you can go to the BZA and get a variance, request a variance.
Okay. I have no idea what any of that is. So I mean, I'm here to learn. And honestly, if you guys come back and say this is where we gotta go to, I would comply with that. But I thought we would ask the question before we make the investment into it. Since we're getting ready to get into summer, we wanna make sure we do the right thing here, so.
I would, just my point of view with this life-saving measure,
Yeah,
we would really have to do some serious evaluation whether we want to make it
Yeah.
less safe.
Yeah.
Now, in the event that your cover fails, or, the power goes out or whatever.
right, yep,
I would think you'd want to have a fence, but, so, rather than us rewrite the code, which can take months,
yeah,
It'll take a long
you can
time.
apply to the BZA, Board of Zoning Appeals.
Okay.
And you request a variance from that specific part of the code.
Okay.
And then they can evaluate whether it's something that the township would consider. That's your two options.
okay.
The quickest one is going to be to go to the BZA and ask for a variance.
Yeah, and I may email you, if that's okay, and make sure I do it properly. Like, I'll maybe go back through and make sure.
Probably the best bet is to reach out to Joe Schaefer.
Okay.
And you can just get an application.
Oh, okay.
And Joe will work with you, just ask for an application for the BZA, and he'll help you go through the process, and then you'll obviously submit to the BZA, and then they'll have a public hearing to evaluate your request.
Okay, perfect.
Do you
Just
wanna-
to, well,
ahead.
just to note, I recall that conversation vividly. You may not have been on this board at the time, but Trustee Vaughn is our resident pool owner, and she
With an auto
shared,
cover and a fence.
and she shared with us about the cover not always being the most secure mechanism. It sticks, it doesn't always close, there are things that can happen there. I don't own a pool, so I took great stock in what she said, because I don't have a clue. But the fence is what we have historically required. And so we decided as a group at the time that we would go with the fence. If you chose to do the belt and suspenders method of having both, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the fence was going to be our requirement. And if I didn't get that right,
That's right,
please correct it.
100% right. Yeah, and just a little bit of my personal experience. Had a pool now for, I think, 12 years with an auto cover. It has broken 3 times, and it's stuck halfway open, all the way open for sometimes a few days, a
Okay.
week, 2 weeks, depending on if somebody has, you can get somebody out right away,
Yeah.
if they have the parts. I can't tell you the number of times that we leave the house and we look at each other, you shut the pool? Oh, I don't know, I think so.
Sure.
You know, so I know it's well-intentioned, but, and when you have, like, today was an 87-degree day. If you have a week or even 3 days of 90 degrees or near 90 degrees, the water gets hot.
Yeah.
So you're gonna want it open.
Mhm.
And if you're at work all day or wherever, you may wanna leave it open when you're not home.
Right.
And that's a safety issue.
Yeah, we have definitely evaluated that and looked at it. From the cover standpoint, and I guess it perked our interest when the insurance company approved us and said that we wouldn't do it. And so we thought we'd ask the questions from
Yep,
that
and-
standpoint.
And I appreciate you coming forth.
Yeah, and I think the other piece of it is other townships, and I'm not trying to.
Yep.
And
No,
I think
I'm
I'm the
well aware.
furthest west,
Yeah.
or east, excuse me,
Northwest.
east. I think I'm the last house in Genoa, and so that's where it confused me a little bit, because some of my, and I actually didn't know this. I don't pay attention to much of that. They didn't have it, so I thought I would at least ask the question. If it comes back and we can't, I totally understand. But I thought I would ask before we make the investment for it. And at no point do we want anybody to get hurt. So if
I
that's
get
the
that.
case. So,
Yep.
yeah, I may still look at it if we look at that side of it. But I really appreciate you taking the time to allow me to speak to you guys tonight.
Sure.
So, all right.
All right,
Thanks, Mark.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
All right, anybody else for public comment?
I won't take long, I promise. Mark Harmon, excuse me, 8088 Dunaway Lane. I came in tonight because I think it's important, as you trustees are aware, we had a resignation on zoning appeals within the last couple weeks, which surprised me to no end of a longtime board member. And I wanted to acknowledge his contribution to the board. He was very, very, very important to us. He's an engineer, he's very bright, and I appreciated every meeting, and he was there at just about every meeting, sitting right next to me, and I always appreciated his comment. And Dave Boone is a great guy. I know he contributed to the township in other ways through parks and other events. And like I said, I wanted to just acknowledge his service to the board, which I think was about 8 years. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right, anybody else, public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to trustee comments. Anyone?
Nothing this evening.
Mark, you have any
I don't
comments?
have anything, no.
I have a couple things. One, I can't remember whether I thanked staff last month, but if I did, I'm going to do it again. I'd like to thank the maintenance department for helping after the March tornadoes. Before the April meeting, I got, just at different area meetings and people from other townships all throughout the county. Thank you so much. Genoa helped. We are so thankful. We don't know what we would have done without your crew. And I mean, it was more than one entity. And then those entities talk. And so, I mean, anyway, the county's talking about us in a good way. So that's always good. So thank you. And I just want to make the public aware that I know there has been some talk about the Senate subcommittee that is looking at housing and talking about taking away the township's ability to zone or control zoning. The subcommittee did come out with a report on April 17th, so you can look for that online. If you can't find it, I have a link. You can email me. I will be happy to send it to you. I heard it was like 90-some pages long, so it's going to take some time. You might want to fast read, skim through it, I don't know. And then the last thing is, I will be in Washington DC next Tuesday and Wednesday for the National Association of Towns and Townships. They call it a fly-in, where people in townships all over the country, although not every state has townships or towns, they are meeting with their elected representatives and pushing legislations to help small towns and townships. So I'm looking forward to that new experience. That's all I have. So I'm going to turn it over to Paul.
Thank you, Board. Good evening. In the last couple months, there's been a lot of discussion about our policy manual. We've had some very good meetings with the board last month in March. And we did create a draft that went out to the board last week. And there's one little tweak that I just want to talk to the board about, that even today we were just tweaking. I know that we wanted to make sure we had the direction of the board correct, and there was one correction we made today. And it's dealing with the travel, meals, and expenses. So we did make a change today, and it's the draft form, but I think it's a good change. For partial day travels, the board did mention $25 for breakfast, $25 for lunch, and $50 for dinner. And so I just want to memorialize that into the policy manual. I know we had it listed differently in the draft, but that's the only correction we had since that meeting last week, unless the board has any other ones this evening. I know Connie and both Renee spoke about that change, so we.
Well, I think it was Connie's idea. I want to give credit where
Yes,
credit is due, but I thought it was a good
definitely.
idea and it was missing.
Makes sense. So other than that, it's in draft form. If the board can memorialize that this evening with a resolution.
I only have one question. Did we talk about, since we're using the per diem rates with the GSA government, did we do $25 and $50 or percent?
$25 was
Okay.
the board direction.
I just wanted to double check.
Per-
that I
the
had it
per
right.
day-
And percent per
Probably
the,
did percent because of the differences in the GSA table.
but if you're not going to be gone all day and doing 3 meals, how
Right.
do you
Well, if you go
figure that
to,
out?
I'm going to pick San Francisco because it's so expensive.
Right.
Say your amount is $200. Then if you took 25% of
Okay.
that for breakfast, 25% for lunch, and 50 for dinner. But if it's only $50 if you're in Gallipolis, you know,
Right.
and you're giving them $75 for lunch and,
Look at Renee Wendy's in DC.
yeah.
Or McDonald's.
Yeah, so that's my only question.
Yes.
Should it be dollars or percents?
Then let's just keep the percent, leave it the
Okay.
way it was.
Keep the percent the way it was?
As long as people can figure out what it means. You know what I mean?
Well, it's 25% of the daily per diem rate of that
Even if
location.
you're there, so I guess, Paul, the edit that you had, which was a full or half day, would be fine
Okay,
at the top.
at the top.
And then cross out the dollars for each meal.
Okay,
Then that makes sense, right?
I think it did.
okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
How's that GSA broken down? How much, I mean, is it broken down by counties or?
It's broken
states?
down by state and city. So if you're going to Houston, Texas, you're going to have that rate for state and then that particular portion of the state.
Makes sense.
Great, so
Yeah, I'm good with the addition of full or half day.
okay, we'll make those
Yep.
corrections and then ask the board now for a resolution to approve it as amended.
Is everybody good with that change? It's clear? All right. I'll move to approve the Genoa Township Personnel Policy Manual effective May 2nd, 2024. Do I have a second?
As amended.
Oh, yes, thank you. As amended.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoness?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
All
And
right.
and just as a point of correction to the board, I just want to have a name clearing. Someone said this evening that I said that certain residents were argumentative. According to his email from the 24th of April, a truck driver they said that a truck driver said that someone was argumentative, said that they were. Those words never came out of my mouth. So not once have I said any resident is argumentative or anything like that. Also, the parcel in question is at the end of Brittonwood. There's a parcel labeled Delaware County Commissioners. And so typically when road right-of-way is turned over to the township, the Board of County Commissioners meet and they have a dedication resolution. I've never received a dedication resolution. So I'm not one liability-wise to go on any other entity's property and do work or any other improvements. So at this point in time, until any kind of corrections made to the plat, or if I get a board resolution from the county commissioners, we'll assume that the property at the end of the Brittonwood is Delaware County property, in my opinion. So, I mean, it's not even a parcel that someone put up a 4x4 with a chain. I don't even know who did that, but it's not creating an issue back there for the township. But when we do receive a resolution from the county on that, I'll let the board know that it's ours. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move it on to maintenance.
Are you going to take the road improvement program part? I can, yes. Okay. Good evening, Board. Tonight, I'd like to make a resolution to move into an agreement with the Shelley Company for our Delaware County Road Improvements Program. It'd be a purchase order in the amount of $274,635.00.
Okay, I'll move to enter into agreement with the Shelley Company for the 24 Delaware County Road Improvement Program and authorize the fiscal office to issue a purchase order in the amount of $274,635. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoness? Yes. Ms. Goodman? Yes. Ms. Vaughn?
Motion carries.
I'd like to ask the board to please sign a copy of that this evening. Lauren's attending the pre-bid conference in the near future and
Tomorrow morning?
and we'd like to take that with her to hand in. Thanks. Do you have an original? Here's an original. It's a copy of one. You've already signed that, Pat. Okay, good. I thought I did. Thank you.
Road levy?
Let me lead on the road levy. So at the last meeting, the board asked Donna Batten and myself to look into the assistance of the general fund in helping to fund the road maintenance department. And so we've given the board some additional information concerning that. And so I provided the board with an estimated carryover, expenses carryover budget for from now until 2029 for the board. And so the amounts at the end of that time frame are not, I mean, they're going to be pretty much level from here on out with year-end carryover. It's not like we're going to be gaining a lot of carryover amounts every year. The request from the levy committee was that as part of the levy committee would be a renewal plus a donation of $500,000 a year from the general fund. And in my opinion, I don't think that's sustainable with our general fund. I know at least one amount, 1 year at least would come from the TIF fund being discontinued. So it would leave 4 other years where a $500,000 contribution would be needed to make only going with a road levy renewal.
Okay,
So
what else?
my opinion is I don't think we're sustainable just going and borrowing money from the general fund. I did at the bottom of the page, if the board wanted to look and consider a replacement millage I did give you a table, and at the current renewal rate, we collect almost 2.5 million a year. It's 2,477,443. An additional $500,000 to make the 25-year replacement schedule on our roads would amount to close to $3 million in revenue needed to fund the road department over the next 5 years. So I did some calculations. You can see what 1 mil, 1.5, 1.75. I found that 1.89 mils will get you almost $3 million. It'd give you $2,999,444.61. So I'm not sure what the wishes of the board are at this point. Those are some facts for you to consider. To move on with this, we would need to prepare legislation for a resolution of necessity based upon what direction you give us.
When we do that resolution, the county will come in and double check these figures and
Yes.
say, this is,
They will say.
so
at
if it's
this
a little
level-
bit off and we need to tweak it, we'll be able to.
Yes.
Then they would also create the ballot language for.
Right.
To go to the ballot.
Yep. Any thoughts?
Well, yeah, I got one question, Paul. So, I mean, having sat through this group, I understand the numbers. I guess, is there a number that the general fund can support if it's not 500,000? Have we even considered that?
If you do that, you're also raising the term of what the replacement schedule is on the roads from a 25 to 30 or larger, so. That's
Only if but he's asking, can we still get close to 3 million, taking maybe not 500,000, let's say 100,000 every year from the general fund?
Yeah, that would be more palatable.
Yeah,
I'm concerned about taking any money from the general fund.
I am too.
We worked extremely hard to build that back up after we lost the estate tax. We were funding parks out of that. We worked too hard to get that where it is now, so we have money for emergencies that come up. And I also have an issue as we look at levies for other departments. It doesn't seem, I guess the best way for me to put it is fair, that the first guy at the gate gets the big dollar amount and anyone else who needs money may get nothing. So my thought is I cannot support taking any money from the general fund.
I'm leery of that as well, because I know there's not a whole lot in there, and the purpose of the parks levy was to build up the general fund, and yeah, but only for 3 years, and now you're gonna start taking from it again.
If you're looking at the projections,
Yep.
each year in balance is diminishing.
Yeah, I
So,
know, I know,
It was-
that worries me.
Yes.
I mean, ultimately, the residents are going to vote on it. We're not making the decision.
But I think
So-
we need to put a smart levy on the ballot, right? You don't want to ask for too much, you don't want to
Right.
ask for too little. But my other concern is, we know how much things have increased since the last 5 years. So if you start cutting this short, you're going to end up short, like fire. So I think we need to keep it close to the 3 million, because we know that by the end of the 5 years, things are going to increase, and we're probably going to be able to have to pave less roads because of costs. So I don't think we can cut this short.
Well, and if we look at the 1.89 mils, it gives that almost 3 million.
Yeah.
That also gives us the flexibility that if a few years down the road, we need to get into the general fund, if there's more increases than we planned for, we would be able to go to the general fund because there would be money there. If we use it now, it's not going to be there for future needs.
I'm with
And I
you.
also, nobody likes to raise taxes. We all live here, we don't want to pay higher taxes. But the way things have increased, it seems almost unreasonable to assume that we can function on the same dollar amount that we did 5 years ago,
For the next 5.
for the next 5, correct?
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with
I
you.
mean, inflation has just hit everybody hard, I get it. But if you want the services that we provide, we're going to have to step up and say, sorry, this is what it's going to take. and also preserve that general fund.
Yep.
So just to explain to those who might be listening, the renewal is based on the current tax valuation. The
Yes.
replacement uses the new tax
But
evaluation.
it's not the current, it's what it was when.
It was back in 5 years ago plus.
Was it a new levy
I
then?
think it was a renewal plus.
Okay.
They had to do an increase. Yeah, it's at 2.1. So actually, you know, it'll look like you're paying less, but it's going from less mills to a higher
Right, a higher
assessment.
evaluation.
You know, one cost, I mean, Lauren and I have been talking about specking out a new dump truck. I mean, over 5 years, the cost of that truck's gone up $100,000 plus. The roads, you can't, the $1 million project, you're doing less roads every year with that $1 million. And so I know people complain they want the road done, they like to see a black road. We do the best for preservation. I mean, Lauren had the crack seal crew out in the last couple weeks, and they've done a great job sealing up a lot of roads that needed to be preserved further because their roads are way down on the list. So we do techniques that will preserve and try to extend the life of things.
If you did the math, I can't do it right this second, but we're collecting at X, and we're collecting $2.5 million. With a replacement of 189, the millage goes down because of property values that collect more. You're collecting, and I won't say the word only, but $500,000 more a year across the township, more than what you're collecting today. It's not, I want people to think we're gonna keep collecting 2.1 and add 189 to it, you know, so.
Right.
It's not doubling taxes or things like that. I mean, you pay taxes on 35% of your home value, not the whole value, things like that. So it would be that would be pretty palatable, I would think.
Well, and we've also said before, when people look at the amount of their house payment that goes into taxes, it's a huge amount. But if you go to the auditor's site and you look how much you're paying in various pots, the slice that the township gets for our departments is very small,
Less than 20% of your total tax.
right?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of making sure we get the message out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any direction from the board for the resolution?
I'm comfortable with 1.89 at a replacement.
Replacement levy of 1.89.
I am also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appears that we have a consensus then. So we'll move forward with the resolution of necessity. Thank you.
Thank you for putting this together. It's
Well-
super helpful, very helpful.
Committee for
Yes,
all the work that they
yes.
did.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll move on to a few purchase orders that I'd like to ask the board to approve. Our first purchase order is for McCoy Paving in the amount of $81,160.00. This is for Covington Meadows road improvements. The second purchase order that I have would be for Thor Works, which is our crack sealing materials, in the amount of $20,832.00. And then the last PO that I have will be for T&M Asphalt in the amount of $20,000.00. And that is for our crack sealing services as well.
I'll move to approve the following purchase orders. McCoy Paving Incorporated, $81,160 for Covington Meadows road improvements. Thor Works Industry, $20,832 for crack sealing materials and equipment. And T&M Asphalt, $20,000 for crack sealing labor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette? Ms. Goodman? Yes. Ms. Vaughn?
Motion carries.
And now I'd like to move on for a resolution to hire our seasonal employees with the Maintenance and Parks Department. Luke Weithman, effective May 6, 2024, in the amount of $18 per hour. Thomas Bobnovic, effective May 6th, 2024, at the amount of $18 per hour. Jacob Odie, effective May 20th, 2024, in the amount of $18 per hour. And Giovanni Bovanik, effective June 3rd, 2024, at the amount of $18 per hour.
I'll move to hire the following as seasonal employees with the Parks Department: Luke Weithman, effective May 6, 2024, at $18 per hour. Thomas Bavoyniak, effective May 6, 2024, at $18 an hour. Jacob Odie, effective May 20th, 2024, at $18 per hour. And Giovanni Bovniak, effective June 3rd, 2024. What's TBD?
It's
To be
not-
determined.
Yeah, but we have the date.
it's not supposed to be.
Okay, that's what I thought. At $18 per hour. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
How long is this term?
They all vary. All of these guys are in school. So some of them leave in August and a few of them leave in September.
So you'll keep them as long as you can?
I will keep them
Keep
as
work.
long as I can keep them.
Roll call?
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries. All right, anything else, Lauren?
Not at this time.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Chief McMillan.
Good evening again. The first item I have is I would like to respectfully request the board to accept a donation from a Mr. TJ Whitting. He's a local dog trainer and former graduate from Westerville Central High School, and he'd like to donate roughly $300 in canine care items to our two therapy handlers.
I'll move to graciously accept a donation from TJ Whitting of dog supplies for the Police Department K-9 program. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank
I
you.
think that's awesome. I saw that and I'm like, wow, it's so thoughtful and out of the blue for us, so thank you.
Yeah, it's each, and because he split it down the middle, so it's two of everything. So dog beds, water bowls, some throw toys for him, a lot of thoughtful gifts for him.
That's
So
nice.
they're excited to get it. They've been wanting to know when they can have it. So I told them, had to hang tight, so everybody's excited for it. And then the second item is, last month, when I requested a resolution to hire Antonio Carter, logistically, I messed up a couple of the dates and a few items with it. He's only the second person we've ever sent to the police academy, and when I went through it, I hired him and asked for the date to be the police academy start date, which is a Wednesday. And we always start him on a Monday, so it threw Fiscal off, and we didn't have enough. He wouldn't have actually had enough hours his very first week, so we need to backdate that. And I talked to finance and HR, all in one office. She recommended the best and easiest thing to do would be for me to start out with a request to rescind the resolution from last month, Resolution 24-0404-001, and then start new with the new resolution.
Okay, I'll move to rescind Resolution 24-0404-001 to hire Police Officer Antonio Carter. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
And then I would like to now request, again, that we hire Antonio Carter with a start date, which would be effective April 29th, which was this past Monday, at a starting salary of $33.32, which is the step A of their collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, I'll move to hire Antonio Carter as a full-time police officer effective April 29th, 2024, at the step A rate of $33.32 per hour per the collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you for that, and I apologize for that confusion.
All right. Next, we have Joe Schaefer in zoning.
Good evening, trustees. First item of business I have for you this evening is on April 9th. We received a notice of resignation from the zoning commission from Jim Carter. He unfortunately had to step down effective immediately that date, so I'm asking for a resolution to regretfully accept his resignation from the commission.
I'll move to accept the resignation of zoning commission member James Carter effective May 2nd, 2024. Do I have a second
Second,
discussion?
why is the effective date of resignation not the date of his email?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. To be candid, not sure it really matters. He didn't come to the meeting that night anyways, on the 9th. He
Okay.
hasn't been involved with the commission since, so.
Okay,
Whether it's April 9th or May 2nd,
just,
he's, yeah,
two
I'm
dates.
not sure why that got put in that way. Maybe
Okay.
it's because,
Today's the second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries. I'd like to thank Mr. Carter for his service.
indeed. Sort of building upon that, so we now have, as you sort of heard earlier now, 2 vacancies we're going to have to fill. One on the Board of Zoning Appeals, which is the alternate position due to the promotion of Mr. DeRose to fill Dave Boone's spot. And now we have the vacancy as the Zoning Commission regular position. I know generally the board deals with these matters in an executive session. So I suspect that would be the desire here to going forward for this evening.
Yes, and for me, yes.
Yeah, me too.
All right, well, we'll hold that off then. And then the other item I have is also an executive session item. So does the board have anything you'd like me to address? All right, that was easy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, Chief Ponzi.
Good evening, Board. Fire levy expense revenue forecast, maybe just an update to give to you all. We did form a committee to examine the expenses, future expenses, and potential solutions to our financial situation. We have had 2 meetings with that committee, the last one being last evening. We've had some really good discussion. The initial meeting, we studied we threw out some proposals of different solutions. And then last night, we examined those, answered a bunch of questions. We had a lot of questions that came out of the meeting, which we understood. We threw a lot of information at those folks in one meeting. Gave them some time to digest that information, ask questions, and then put forth a document that we believe answered the questions, which I think we answered most of them last night, and then continued further discussions. I don't know that I'm in any position to tell you where we are headed as of yet. I say we're moving forward in a positive manner. I think we're all in agreement. It's just going to be, I think it's going to be a couple more meetings until I can come to you all to say, here's our solution, or it may end up being, here are 2 possible solutions, and we weigh those and then let you all make a decision, depending on how it all, the final outcome of the committee is. But we're moving forward in positive discussions, and I think we'll have a positive outcome at the end. And we are focusing, excuse me, to be able to bring something to you for the June meeting so that we could take the necessary steps to you said it earlier, the next step, that you make the resolution and the
Yeah, we get
necessity,
it.
the
We
All right,
get
we
it.
get it.
necessity thing, that thing.
All that
I'll
verbiage.
learn all this language here before June, I promise. But that's my update. Do you all have any questions? Okay.
Anybody else?
I was there.
Yeah, you're good.
Connie, do you have any?
No, I think you did a very good summary. The group has worked very hard. You know, there was some stimulated discussion, but that was good. And so, you know, we'll continue and we will, spirited, yes, thank you, well, whatever. But yeah, it was good. And we will get to something to bring to the board at some point.
We will. And we discussed that deadline last night, that was my hope, that we would be able to bring something to you all by the June meeting, and I think we will be able to. So last item on my agenda for this evening is education incentive for Lieutenant Allison Holtzberry. Lieutenant Holtzberry recently completed all of her, excuse me, necessary coursework and has completed, excuse me, her master's degree in Emergency Services Management from Columbia Southern University. Lieutenant Holtzberry currently is receiving her education supplement for her bachelor's degree at $1 an hour. So this would be an additional 25 cents per hour, which would take her total education supplement to $1.25 per hour. And I would request a resolution in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement.
I'll move to approve the education incentive in the amount of $1.25 per hour for Lieutenant Allison Holtzberry for a master's degree in emergency service management from Columbia Southern University per the collective bargaining agreement, Article 15.8 of the IAFF Local 4307. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Perfect,
And
thank
I
you.
do have the sealed transcript that will be turned into
Great,
to Donna in the HR department, our HR director.
thank you. Anybody else?
Trustee Vaughn?
Yeah.
One note for you that I was notified that the May 9th Communications Advisory Committee meeting has been canceled.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, announcements, May 7th and June 4th, the Fire Advisory Committee, May 8th, Police Advisory Committee, May 13th, and Zoning Commission, May 27th, offices will be closed for Memorial Day, May 28th, the Board of Zoning Appeals, June 5th, the Parks Advisory Committee, and the next regular trustee meeting is June 6th. At this time, I'll move to adjourn to executive session at 7:36 PM to consider the appointment, employment, promotion, dismissal, discipline, demotion, or compensation of a public employee and to conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:36. Yep, yep. I'll move to return from executive session to the regular trustee meeting at 8:40 PM. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries. We have a couple items as we come out of executive session. I will move that the board authorize and direct the township administrator to issue on behalf of the board corrective action of a 3-day unpaid suspension to firefighter Ryan McLean concerning his on-duty conduct on December 16, 2023, to be served by forfeiting 72 hours of paid vacation or holiday leave. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries. I have another one. I'll move that the board authorize and direct its legal counsel to accept the mediator's proposal tendered April 19th, 2024, in the case of EC New Vision ETAL versus Genoa Township, U.S. District Court, case number 2:23-CV-00691. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries. And at this time, I will move to adjourn this meeting at 8:41 PM. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.